Imagine this. It's your first day at a new job. Everything feels unfamiliar. New faces. New rules. New expectations. Then someone walks over with a warm smile. They show you around the office. They introduce you to everyone. They even stay behind to help you finish your work. By the end of the week, you think you've found a genuine friend. 3 months later, that same person asks for a favor. You hesitate. It doesn't feel right. Before you can answer, they smile and say, "After everything I've done for you." In that moment, something changes. Every act of kindness suddenly feels different. The help wasn't forgotten. It was remembered. The smiles weren't free. They were investments. This is one of the most uncomfortable truths about human behavior. Not every kind person has kind intentions. Sometimes, kindness is genuine. Sometimes, it's a strategy. The challenge is that both can look exactly the same in the beginning. So how do you tell the difference? The answer isn't found in a single conversation. It's found in patterns. Because while people can control their words, they struggle to control their patterns over time. Today, we're going to explore the hidden psychology behind fake kindness, why our brains are so easily fooled by it, and the subtle signs that reveal a person's true intentions long before they ever admit them. To understand fake kindness, we first need to understand why kindness works so well in the first place. Thousands of years ago, trusting other people wasn't just important. It was essential for survival. If someone shared food with you during a harsh winter, you were more likely to survive. If a neighbor warned you about danger, your family had a better chance of living another day. Our ancestors learned that helpful people were usually safe people. That lesson became deeply wired into the human brain. Even today, when someone smiles at us, remembers our name, or offers help without being asked, we naturally lower our guard. Psychologists call one part of this the halo effect. When we notice one positive quality in a person, we often assume they have many other positive qualities as well. Someone who seems kind must also be honest. Someone who appears generous must also be trustworthy. Most of the time, this shortcut serves us well. The world is full of genuinely good people. But every strength has a weakness. Some people understand how easily trust is created. They know that if they make you feel comfortable first, you'll be less likely to question their intentions later. Notice that manipulation rarely begins with threats or anger. It usually begins with warmth. With compliments. With favors. With understanding. Because influence grows fastest where trust already exists. Imagine a colleague who regularly brings you coffee without asking. They offer to help with difficult tasks. They speak highly of you in meetings. Weeks later, they ask you to support an idea you don't believe in. You want to refuse. But another voice appears inside your head. They've always been there for me. That feeling isn't accidental. It's connected to one of the strongest social rules ever studied by psychologists, the principle of reciprocity. When someone gives us something, we naturally feel a desire to give something back. It's one of the foundations of healthy relationships. Without it, friendships, families and communities would struggle to survive. But in the wrong hands, reciprocity becomes a tool. Some people don't give because they enjoy helping. They give because every favor creates an invisible sense of obligation. It's like handing someone a gift, then quietly expecting payment later. The dangerous part is that the price is never mentioned in advance. That's why fake kindness is so difficult to recognize. Nothing feels wrong at first. Everything feels generous. Everything feels sincere. Only later do you realize that every favor came with invisible strings attached. Now compare that with someone who is genuinely kind. They help because helping reflects their character. If you can't return the favor, they don't become cold. They don't remind you of everything they've done. They don't keep score. Real kindness gives without creating debt. Manipulative kindness gives in order to collect it later. Here's a question worth asking yourself. Think about the kindest person you've ever known. Did they constantly remind you of everything they had done for you? Or did they simply help and move on? The answer reveals one of the biggest differences between generosity and strategy. Real kindness leaves you feeling grateful. Fake kindness leaves you feeling indebted. And that's where the next pattern begins. Not when someone is helping you, but when they realize you no longer have something they need. Imagine that, overnight, your life changes. You lose your job. You move to another city. Or perhaps you're no longer in a position to help the people around you. At first, you expect life to continue as normal. But slowly, something unexpected begins to happen. The messages become less frequent. The invitations stop. The people who once praised you seem strangely distant. You wonder if you've done something wrong. Sometimes, the answer is simply that life gets busy. But sometimes, your value to them has changed. And with it, so has their kindness. This is one of the clearest differences between genuine relationships and convenient ones. Convenient relationships are built on benefits. Real relationships are built on people. A genuinely kind person doesn't disappear because you have less to offer. They remain consistent. They care about who you are, not what you can provide. That's why one of the best ways to understand someone's character is to watch how they treat people who cannot benefit them. The waiter who serves their meal. The cleaner who quietly does their job. The stranger asking for directions. The elderly neighbor who has nothing to give in return. These small moments reveal far more than grand public gestures. Because character is easiest to see when there's nothing to gain. There's another pattern that's even harder to recognize. Sometimes manipulation hides inside a compliment. Imagine you've worked for years to earn a promotion. Excited, you share the news with a friend. They smile and say, "Congratulations. I honestly didn't think you'd make it." For a moment, you hesitate. Was that encouragement? Or was it criticism wearing a smile? Psychologists refer to this as a backhanded compliment. On the surface, it sounds supportive. Underneath, it quietly weakens your confidence. People who feel secure usually celebrate your success. They don't compare it with their own. They don't need to reduce your achievement to protect their self-esteem. But deeply insecure people often experience another person's success as a personal loss. Instead of improving themselves, they try to make your success feel smaller. Not always out of cruelty. Sometimes out of fear. Fear that they are falling behind. That's why it's important to notice how people react when life goes well for you. Do they genuinely celebrate? Or do they somehow make the moment about themselves? Real kindness feels uplifting. Manipulative kindness often leaves you strangely uncomfortable. Perhaps the strongest test of all comes from one simple word. No. The first time you calmly refuse a request. The first time you protect your own time. The first time you choose your own well-being. Watch carefully. Does the respect remain? Or does the warmth suddenly disappear? Healthy relationships can survive disappointment. Healthy people understand that boundaries are not rejection. They are a normal part of life. But people who value control often react differently. When they realize they can no longer influence your decisions, their behavior begins to change. The kindness fades. The patience disappears. The guilt begins. In that moment, your boundary hasn't ruined the relationship. It has revealed it. So how do you protect yourself without becoming suspicious of everyone? The answer isn't to trust less. It's to observe more. Don't judge people by one conversation. Don't judge them by one favor. And don't judge them by beautiful words alone. Watch their patterns. Do they treat everyone with respect? Do they celebrate your success? Do they respect your boundaries? Do they remain the same person when there's nothing to gain? Because while words can be carefully chosen, patterns are much harder to fake. The good news is that the world is still full of genuinely kind people. People who help because helping reflects who they are. People who protect your trust, even when you're not in the room. People who remain beside you during success and failure alike. Those are the people worth holding on to. So the next time someone shows you kindness, accept it with gratitude. But don't rush to conclusions. Give people enough time for their patterns to introduce them. Because words create impressions. But patterns reveal character. If you enjoyed this documentary and want to understand more about the hidden psychology behind human behavior, consider subscribing to RFP 1000. Until next time, stay curious, and remember. People can hide their intentions for a while. But they can never hide their patterns forever.